Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Bellator fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting some of the key fights for Bellator 267, Lima versus MVP 2. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card that I'll be predicting. So in our first fight, we have in the lightweight division, Yves Landau versus Tim Wild. So yeah, with this one, firstly, I was thinking Yves Landau. I wasn't really high on Tim Wild, but really looking at how Yves Landau's fight and not really focus on the Terry Brazier fight or however you say the name, Terry Brazier or Brazier fight. Yeah, Brazier fight. I'm not all that impressed with his fighting style at all, to be honest. And I see why he is 16-8. That might be a pretty decent, solid MMA record. You can say, oh, he's for a decent guy, so it's this and that. But I mean, he ain't fight people that decent enough to have a 16-8 record. Like, like he been BJ Penn fighting UFC, fighting for titles and stuff, or just fighting the cream of the crop best guys out there. He ain't been fighting those people. He fought some decent people here and there, but his record definitely in the case where he's been fighting so much people where that's necessarily a passable. It's not. It's not. It's not. But either way, when I look at him, yes, he beat Terry Brazier, yeah, but it's really a lot of that is due to the fact that styles matchup, and the fact that Brazier really looks to get to the ground, really be hunting for those takedowns, really be going hard for those takedowns. And Elandon just like a sporadic little bouncing ball, listed at 5'8", probably really like 5'5", and looking to always looking to explode and land. And you can see a guy that's telegraphing his takedowns, so you just keep timing him because he's always going for one. He's going for one exact move, just like how Jorge Masvidal did Ben Askren. Ben Askren at the slightest flinch, slightest feint, he gonna duck down and go for a takedown. He not a striker like that. I mean, Brazier's a full round fighter, but he definitely is a guy that's heavily looking for the takedown. That's what happened. He was looking for the takedown, reaching for it. You knew he was gonna go, and he just timed the flying knee. I'm not saying it's not well timed or I don't take skill to do that, but I'm saying it's a styles matchup. But now going against Tim Wild, a fighter who's more so a striker and a polished fighter who's been around as well. Not a fighter that's like a little. I mean, Brazier has been around. I'm saying in the case that Tim Wild is going to strike, and he's not going to be a guy looking necessarily for something predictable. And I feel like Tim Wild he'll be the bigger man at like 5'10", 5'11", versus Landau who's probably really like 5'5", even though he's listed at 5'8". But even when at his fake listed height, he's still like a 2-3 inch height disadvantage, probably like a 4 or 5 inch reach disadvantage. And I think Tim Wild is a longer, more polished striker, and his style doesn't rely as much on just being awkward and explosive and jumping, like no, those explosive action, like trying to explosive blitz, explosive overhand, explosive flying knee, trying to explode to people on takedowns. This looks very sloppy, very unorthodox, and get some more experience. Well, he's not more experienced than him, but like an experienced, more technical, longer striker. I feel like that style of Yves Landau is going to just get picked apart. Like he's gonna try to have his moments early, but Tim Wild's gonna either weather them or avoid them. Then start to walk him down, pick him apart, and I think he puts him out in the second round. So in this fight, I have Tim Wild via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Robert Whitford or Whiteford versus Andrew Fisher. So Whiteford versus Fisher. How I see this one right here is I feel like Fisher's boxing is more technical or technically sound. I feel like he has some pretty decent grappling. But I feel like Whiteford, he's been more active. I feel like his grappling is more fleshed out. I feel like he has more power. I feel like he has more speed. I feel like he has more higher level experience. And I feel like he's gonna win. I feel like Fisher, like I said, his box is more a little bit of like like I said, I don't know. He got a weird body, weird frame and stuff and whatnot. And where he throws punches, it's technical, but people just because they train all the time don't mean they're gonna get over, just the weird movements they have just naturally. Like people have this. Not everybody different. Everybody built different. Everybody move different. So like I'm saying, he got a little bit awkward movements. It's just basically just probably how his genetics, how he built and whatnot. So it does look a little bit awkward at times. But as far as when you really look at his technique, it's pretty solid fundamentals. I say it's more solid than Whiteford's. I feel like Whiteford a little bit more unorthodox. It's definitely not a case where Whiteford is just this wild dude. He got some solid striking. It's pretty technical as well. But I feel like Fisher's a little bit tighter with his defense. Very fundamental, solid jab, solid 1-2. Then he got those the bread and butter of boxing. Like he got those down. I'm not saying he got it down at a world class level or a high level amateur level, but for MMA, it's a pretty solid level. He got some decent power. He's not a heavy hitter, but he hits sharp. So tight defense, like fundamental clinical boxing, textbook boxing, and sharp on the shots, but not necessarily a heavy hitter. Whereas White on the other side, not as fundamentally sound, a little bit unorthodox, some switch stances with his shots. like some stuff that not quite textbook, but powerful, precise as well. But I feel like the biggest thing is gonna be experience, activity, strength, and grappling. I feel like striking gonna be relatively close between the two. Maybe the power and speed of White Ford is gonna overcome some of the technical. I mean, like some of the technical cleanness of the textbookness of Fisher, which a lot of times do happen in fights. That experience as well. Just because you're more textbook don't mean you're able to take advantage of the situation. Somebody can answer with respond with an answer that isn't as technical or isn't as textbook, but they respond with it at the right time, and that allows them to get the advantage. Maybe they respond a little bit faster. Maybe they respond at the right moment, or maybe they move you into their shots. And I feel like that's where Wyfer going different. I feel like Wyfer will be able to control the grappling, control the takedown, and mix it up. I see this as a very close competitive fight, probably back and forth, but I feel like Wyfer's takedown, his control time, his speed, his athleticism, the fact that he's been active, and whereas Fisher just returned in his last fight, he didn't look all that great in his last fight either. So I feel like Whitford is just gonna be, the guy that is more fine tuned at the moment, and the guy that has the better tools and will be able to utilize his tools better and be able to better dictate the pace of this fight. Still close, but I feel like Whiteford will land the harder shots. Maybe not the more shots, but land the harder shots. Control the center more, score the takedowns, have the top position, have control time more, like be the one in control more, like whether it be against the cage, trying to control him against the cage, or dragging him to the ground and control him against the ground, and also, like I said, landing the heavier shots and controlling the center of the cage. So where he could have his back against the cage in a clinch, or have him on the ground, or just have him moving backwards. I feel like I said Whitford, Wilford, or Clifford the Grinch. I mean, I said Clifford the Grinch, Clifford the Big Red Dog. But either way, he'll be in one I feel in more control of this fight. So in this fight, I had Robert Whitford. Let me say it again. I had Robert Whiteford via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the welterweight division Douglas Lima versus Michael Page, or Douglas Lima versus MVP 2. So how I see this fight between these two in the rematch. So in the first fight, I picked Lima to win. This putting that out there. I picked Lima to win, and I picked him to win by knockout. I didn't say it was going to be controversial or anything like that. I said he's going to win. I think without any controversy. So it's not like a case I was trying to lean Page and then I just picked Lima just because I felt Lima was going to win. I picked him to win. I picked him to win by stoppage. I obviously didn't pick him by the exact method, like, oh, he's going to perfectly time a leg kick and then knock him out with a uppercut from Valhalla. I ain't say all that, but either way, I picked him to win and picked him to knock him out. So in the first fight, I picked Lima, but now I'm picking Page to win this one, this rematch. I feel like Lima, he definitely has at points in his career made some significant improvements. I feel like from the first Andre Korskov fight to the second Korskov fight, especially to the third Korskov fight, made huge improvements in his grappling. Wrestling defense has always seemed like something that keeps coming back to haunt him. And yeah, so I feel like he made improvements, but he has an issue. I'm not saying Page is going to wrestle him. That's definitely not where I'm going. But where I more so see with this prediction and why I'm leaning Page, I feel like momentum. I feel like Page, even though he has not been fighting the best competition, he's been winning. He's been putting on a streak, and he's confident now. He's regaining his confidence. And Lim could definitely give him some scares to take away some of that confidence very early in this fight, either with leg kicks or just touching with some power. He could definitely look to take that confidence away, or even to take him down and look to grapple and potentially take away some confidence. That way, he got a lot of different ways he could look to take confidence away from MVP. But as of right now, going into this fight, Lima's on a 2-fight losing streak, potentially going to be on a 3-fight losing streak if he does lose this one. I feel like he didn't look. I feel like the fight with Gegard Mousasi was the most embarrassing performance from him out of his 2 losses. You could say his last fight was against Amasad was a little bit disappointing. The fact that he got wrestled so much and controlled so much. But the fact that Mousasi just had him like controlled him mentally with this striking for the most part. It's not like Mousasi went out there and kept taking him down. That was his thing. Mousasi really just had him frozen just with his boxing and his striking. And like Lima just was lost. He had a deer in headlights out to get him jabbed up, boxed up, and couldn't do much of anything. Like he was just waiting for Mousasi the whole fight and never really fired. Like he was so intimidated, so shook, and it's so lost, so outclassed. Like um Mousasi was out there playing chess and he was out there playing he was out there playing hopscotch. I don't know. Matter of fact, he wasn't even playing hopscotch. He was playing he was looking at horse races. Like he was even competing. He was literally had some tickets in his hand, scared to cash them, looking at horse races, whereas Mousasi was out there making chess moves and constantly just moving it and advancing on him. Took his queen, took his king, took his money out of his pocket. The man was lost. Like he was looking at the scratch. He was looking at the scratch off, looking at the horse races, and Mousasi was just literally just robbing that man blind while that man was eyes was on horse races. Like he was even. I feel like he wasn't even in the fight. I think best thing he did was land like one kick. That was it. Very limited activity. So I feel like in the Amosov fight, it was a better performance from him, but still two very disappointing performances where he really got shut out. Matter of fact, he did get shut out on both of those performances. I'm not saying he got shut out on all the cards. I mean, all the rounds, but as far as actually having any bit of action within those fights, like really anything of significance, he really got shut out. It was not competitive in either of those fights. He was in the fight, he didn't get stopped, but it was far from competitive in either of those fights. So not riding the best momentum right now on a 2-fight losing streak. Page is we're riding like a 3 or 4 fight winning streak. That's over tomato cans, but he got a confidence. Also, I feel in the first fight, Page was actually gaining momentum in that first fight. Prior to that, getting kicked, his leg kicked out from him, then hit with the uppercut, he was gaining momentum. He was finding his timing, finding his range, finding his patterns, and started to pick apart Lima. And then that moment happened. I feel like a lot of it was instinctual, so I feel like Lima could necessarily repeat that. Like even if he wanted to, if he does repeat it, it's going to be a case of an instinct and not a case of I thought this out and decided to throw it. It was like his body reacted, and it was in the case of he himself did it because it was such a quick space of time that it's not really it's reactionary. It's not thought. It's reactions. Training, hours and hours of training, and that caused that. And I feel like this time Pate is gonna play off instinct. And he's gonna play off of the mental game where I feel like Lima gonna rely heavily on the first fight and heavily on instinct, like his training and just saying I train hard and I got the skills to win. He's gonna rely heavily on instinct and train. I mean, it's gonna be some mental in there, but I feel like Pate is gonna be a mental mastermind out there. I'm not saying go out there and just run through Lima, but I feel like it's still be a very close fight. But Pate is gonna make the right decision. He's gonna bait Lima instincts to draw out those kicks, land counters, stay on the outside, not be too far in, like he said. Like he said the best thing. I mean, his response to what happened and like where his mistake was is I feel like was spot on. It was no excuses, but it was spot on. Where it was like yeah, I'm not even editing none of this stuff. I'm just going straight up. I'm getting all tongue tied, sounding like Sylvester the Cat. But either way, he said he was too far in. He got too confident, overconfident, and was too far in. And that's very much the case. He wasn't saying that he got lucky or this and that. He just said where his mistake was. He was too far in. It wasn't the case. He's a better man. He just got a lucky kick, lucky uppercut. He ain't gonna do that again. What I'm gonna do in this fight. I'm not gonna be too far in. He probably said more than that. It's probably more to it than just that. But I feel like that's what he needs. And I feel like Lima, I mean, Page can draw out those kicks of Lima, land counters, be on the outside. I still think Lima will land some of those kicks, still be, like I said, a very tight match, a very close fight, very hard fought. But I think Page will be ready for it this time. And like even with the ground game, people say, he could take him down. But in the very first fight, Lima didn't do nothing with the ground game. He working on it, but I don't think it's gonna be it's not like Page is a slouch in the grappling. He's not really a slouch in the grappling. So, and it's not like Lima is some stud on the ground necessarily. So, in the first fight, Lima had Page on the ground in the first round for like 4 minutes or 3 minutes and literally only landed like 2 very soft punches because Page just had viper grip on wrist grips on Lima. And Lima couldn't barely land anything. Couldn't land no elbows, couldn't land no punches, landed like 2 strikes after like 3 minutes of being on top. So I feel like the ground game, if anything, might give Lima a round or 2 in this one just to take it and ice around. But I don't feel like he can find consistent success with the ground game. So it's really going to still be a striking matchup, just like the first fight was for the most part. Well, it was half and half, but over the course of 3 rounds or 5 rounds, I feel like it's still going to primarily come down to the striking. And I feel like Page is going to come in here confident, training, looking to make up for the mistakes he made in the first fight. And definitely, I feel like be more cerebral in this fight and draw out those kicks, draw those counters to Lima, be light on his toes, don't stay inside too long, and really just take advantage of Lima and frustrate him, kind of similar to what Masasi was able to do. Similar, but not to the same degree. Definitely not is one-sided at all. Probably still a very close fight. But a case of where he's distorting the range, like I said, drawing out those counters, drawing out those kicks, drawing out those punches, drawing out those motions, playing bull and matador, and just making Lima think and drawing Lima out of his instincts and making him think, and then slowing down his movements. And then when he got Lima thinking, and I said, taking him out of his instinctual mode and put him back into thinking mode. And now you're thinking, you're not as fast. You're questioning your emotions, especially like when you're getting countered by a faster man who knows where your strengths are, know where your weaknesses are, seeing which your last 2 losses, and he's gonna take advantage of that. And I feel like he'll be able to outpoint Lima, probably hurt him a couple times in the fight. I don't think he'll finish Lima because I don't feel like he'll overcommit to the finish. He won't look for the finish necessarily. He'll look to be spectacular, but he's never gonna be that guy that's gonna go out there and try to run through his opponent. If his opponent is there to be killed, he'll kill them. But if not, he's not gonna be that guy that's gonna go out there, guns a blazing, or go out there really looking to risk it all to get that finish. He's not. So I see the decision. I feel like Lima's more than solid enough, more than tough enough, and he's more than game enough. He has, and I feel like stylistically wise, he is probably the most dangerous matchup for Page, maybe in the welterweight in middleweight division if Page ever looks to go there, because this based off it kicks in the style that those kickboxers, those karate style looking fighters, because they rely so heavily on bouncy motions for like defense and offense. So it's both their defense and their offense and their legs, and you could take their legs away, you pretty much take away who they are in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm not saying that's all Page is, but it's heavily his striking offense and his striking defense. So you could take away the legs. It's a big issue. And Lima is probably the best leg kicker in all of MMA at this given moment. So definitely a dangerous matchup for Page. But I feel like coming in this fight, he has momentum. And I feel like he's going to learn, he's going to take the lessons he learned from the last fight, bring them here. And also look at the pattern of, Lima's last two losses, or at least the Masasi loss, and look to implement some of that. And it's already been in Page style to draw out people away from their instincts and then start to make them think. And once start to make them think, he starts to play with them, play mental chess out there, then draw them to his counters and draw them into his game. And I feel like in this fight, he'll better be able to do that with a man riding a 2-fight losing streak. And especially once he starts to frustrate him and land those counters and again, draw him out of instinctual and back into a thinking man, or making him think, make him exhaust himself with his thoughts and frustration and no longer react off instinct, but react off thoughts. And when you start to think, you start to hesitate. And when you start to hesitate, opportunities present themselves. And I feel like Page will fully capitalize on those opportunities and be able to grind out a decision over Lima. So in this fight, I have Michael Page via decision. And so that concludes my fight predictions for some of the key fights for Bellator 267, Lima versus MVP 2. And as always, thanks for watching.